Bonjour à toutes et à tous. La séance est ouverte. Chers collègues, l'ordre du jour appelle la présentation de la discussion du rapport de M. André Unco et Joseph O'Reilly au nom de la commission de suivi sur le respect par Saint-Marin des obligations découlant de l'adhésion au Conseil de l'Europe, document 15 737. Nous devrions épuiser la liste des orateurs vers 10h45, puis entendrons la réplique de la Commission et procéderons au vote nécessaire. Les rapporteurs disposent d'un temps de parole de 5 minutes chacun pour la présentation de leur rapport et de 5 minutes à répartir à leur convenance pour répondre aux orateurs à la fin de la discussion générale. Mais comme M. O'Reilly est absent, vous aurez un peu plus de temps, M. Unco, et je vous donne la parole, Monsieur le rapporteur.
Vielen Dank, Frau Präsidentin, meine Damen und Herren. Wir reden heute über San Marino, wirklich ein faszinierender Mikrostaat, eine Enklave, umschlossen von Italien, dessen demokratische und republikanische Strukturen Jahrhunderte zurückgehen. Es ist in der Tat die älteste Republik der Welt. Und es war hochinteressant, hier diesen Bericht zu verfassen. San Marino wurde am 3. Februar 2021 ausgewählt im Rahmen dieses sogenannten Periodical Review Verfahrens, an dem alle Staaten des Europarates teilnehmen. Und zunächst wurde Mr. Viorel Baldea und ich wurden als Berichterstatter gewählt. Wir waren am 24. bis 26. Oktober letzten Jahres in San Marino. Leider musste Baldea im Januar diesen Jahres die Versammlung verlassen, weil er anderen Verpflichtungen nachgekommen ist. Und Joseph O'Reilly ist sozusagen übergangsweise als Co-Berichterstatter kurzfristig eingesprungen. Joe O'Reilly ist aber gegenwärtig an einer medizinischen Behandlung und kann nicht hier sein. Deswegen stehe ich jetzt hier sozusagen als einziger Berichterstatter da. San Marino hat den Europarat 1988 ist dem Europarat beigetreten. Und wie gesagt, die Strukturen San Marinos gehen lange zurück, bis hin sogar teilweise bis auf Relikte aus dem Römischen Reich. Und es ist immer eine Republik gewesen. Es hat eine starke demokratische und freiheitliche Tradition. Und die Schwierigkeiten, die sich für so einen Mikrostaat ergeben, mit 35.000 Einwohnern, in einer relativ kleinen Fläche, sind eben charakteristische Schwierigkeiten für einen Mikrostaat. Es gibt in San Marino einen klaren politischen Willen, diese Schwierigkeiten im Rahmen der Verpflichtungen des Europarates zu überwinden. Es gibt eine sehr proaktive demokratische und diplomatische Tradition, die auch dazu geführt hat in der Geschichte, dass San Marino überhaupt als Staat überleben konnte. Ja, die italienische Vereinigung, Napoleon, Mussolini, das sind ja alles Riesenherausforderungen für so einen kleinen Staat. Und das geht eben auf eine Tradition großer, sehr aktiver, proaktiver Diplomatie zurück. Kernstück in San Marino ist das Parlament, der sogenannte Great and General Council. Ein Punkt, was wir hier aufgeführt haben, ist, dass die Abgeordneten in San Marino, wenn sie vor allem wenn sie im privaten Bereich arbeiten, dass sie nicht entschädigt werden. Das ist eine Schwäche, wo wir der Meinung sind, die überwunden werden sollte. weil sie auch zu einem Ungleichgewicht führt in San Marino zwischen dem Parlament einerseits und der Exekutive auf der anderen Seite. Ein Problem eines solchen Mikrostaates ist natürlich die Frage des Interessenkonfliktes und der Korruption, weil sich man kennt sich halt untereinander schnell, es entsteht eine sehr schnelle Nähe zwischen verschiedenen Strukturen, in der Justiz zum Beispiel. Dazu gab es einen 4. GRECO-Bericht, der sehr, sehr positiv evaluiert wurde. Und wir fordern hier auch, dass der 5. GRECO-Bericht, der sich dann mit den Regierungen beschäftigt, dass der auch bald in Angriff genommen wird. Wir haben ein paar kleine Vorschläge gemacht, alles sozusagen unter dem Respekt vor der wirklich demokratischen und rechtsstaatlichen Tradition dieses kleinen Landes. Ein paar Vorschläge gemacht, die aus unserer Sicht noch zu verbessern wären. Demokratie ist ja nie etwas Vollendetes, sondern eine Sache, die immer verbessert werden kann. Wir schlagen zum Beispiel vor, dass verschiedene Religionen sich registrieren können, dass ausländische Residenten an Lokalwahlen nach 5 Jahren teilnehmen können, so wie das in anderen europäischen Staaten ist, und einige andere Vorschläge, die wir noch machen. Insgesamt, wie gesagt, war es aus unserer Sicht ein sehr, sehr inspirierendes und ein sehr positiver Besuch, den wir dort hatten, und möchte vor allen Dingen auch den Kollegen hier und den Institutionen in San Marino und natürlich auch dem Sekretariat Bas Klein für die tolle Zusammenarbeit danken und freue mich jetzt auf die Diskussion. Vielen Dank.
Merci, Monsieur Unko. Dans la discussion générale, la parole est à Monsieur Marco Nicolini au nom du groupe GUE. Vous avez la parole, Monsieur.
Thank you, Chair. I will need even less than 3 minutes to express my impressions of this report. And indeed, as a member of the majority of government, I think I can limit myself to show our gratitude. I want to thank the 2 current rapporteurs, Andrei Unko and Joseph O'Reilly, and also the previous rapporteur, Viorel Badea, for the great work departed for a few months based on the study of secular institutions in meetings with all politicians in majority, in opposition, extra-parliamentarians, in meetings with trade unions, with the leaders of our court, with NGOs, and all the rest, all this meeting you added. In short, for all the activities that have allowed them to understand our country and give a face to a small but complex institution system. I also thank the 2 members of the San Marino delegation, Gerardo Giovagnoli and Marica Montemaggi, one from majority and one from opposition, for their work in the monitoring committee. Above all, however, I want to give a more general thanks to the Council of Europe and to the philosophy that drives the periodical review. I'm happy that so many young persons are here so they can hear what's the real importance of Council of Europe. Because even in such positive report, practically devoid of critical issues, San Marino will learn something and try to improve itself furthermore in order to continue to be an island of democracy, which also could be an example for the large and problematic countries that are the ones which create friction and conflict among themselves and within themselves, which do not respect sometimes democratic principles and sometimes not even the judgment of the European Charter of Human Rights. The way to make the hard work behind the monitoring mission effective in this specific case, it is not to look at the many positive aspects highlighted in the report, but to try to put a stop to the few flaws that are in it. The Assembly has my word that the delegation will put all the pressure on the government and the Parliament to take every step in this direction. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Chair.
Merci, Monsieur Nicolini. La parole est à Monsieur Stéphane Schenake au nom du groupe socialiste. Vous avez la parole.
Danke sehr, Frau Präsidentin. Liebe Kollegen und Kolleginnen, im Namen meiner politischen Gruppe möchte ich Herrn Hunko, aber auch allen vorhergehenden Berichterstattern herzlich gratulieren zu diesem Bericht, der uns eintauchen lässt in einen Mikrostaat, der aber zugleich der älteste souveräne Staat und die älteste Republik ist. Wenn ein Staat so klein ist, dann ist eines der ganz wichtigen Dinge, dass man die Gewaltenteilung wirklich schafft. Und wenn dann familiär zu stark zwischen Exekutive, Legislative und Judikatur Verbindungen herrschen, dann gerät die Gewaltenteilung außer Kontrolle ein wenig. Was Herr Hunko hier ja auch gesagt hat, was ich besonders wichtig finde in diesem Bericht, ist, dass der Große und Allgemeine Rat seine Mitglieder, die viele Aufgaben haben, nur ein Teilzeitparlament ist. Das heißt, es ist nicht geklärt gegenüber dem privaten Sektor, dass die Abgeordneten des Großen und Allgemeinen Rates auch die Zeit dafür zur Verfügung gestellt bekommen von ihren Firmen. Im öffentlichen Bereich ist das klarer, aber ich denke, hier muss man ganz viel mehr machen. Denn wir sehen auch in San Marino, dass die Exekutive gar nicht so lange wartet auf das Parlament, sondern per Dekrete regiert, und das ist keine gute demokratische Entwicklung. Aber wie mein Vorredner Marco Nicolini sagt, und daran zweifle ich auch nicht, dass die Abgeordneten von San Marino alles tun, um auch diesen Empfehlungen umzusetzen. Und sie sind ja auch den Greco-Empfehlungen gefolgt mit der Ethikkommission für die Mitglieder des Großen und Allgemeinen Rates, wobei man hier vielleicht noch ein wenig schärfen müsste, dass es bei schweren Verfehlungen auch entsprechende Strafen gibt. Das fehlt derzeit. Dann, lieber Marco, eine wichtige Frage ist die Durchsetzung der Frauenrechte in San Marino. Eine andere Frage ist, wie geht man mit religiösen Minderheiten um? Und das andere, wie geht man mit Menschen, die keine sanmarinesische Staatsbürgerschaft besitzen, um? Das sind Fragen von essentiellen Menschenrechten. Ich habe das verstanden, dass das mit der Staatsbürgerschaft in San Marino nicht so einfach ist, weil sonst wäre man gleich Italien, ne? Weil alles ist rundherum italienisch. Aber ich kann nur sagen, Hut ab, was San Marino, Hut ab, was ihr als Parlamentarier leistet. Und ich denke, so wie der Bericht San Marino ernst nimmt, dass wir euch auch ernst nehmen in euren Bemühungen. Ich kann nur gratulieren.
Danke schön, Stefan. La parole est à Madame Isabelle Meireles, au nom du groupe politique PPE.
Merci, Madame la Présidente, chers collègues. Avant tout, je dois remercier au rapporteur au nom de mon groupe politique, le PPE, pour ce travail très précis et exhaustif concernant le respect de Saint-Marin à l'égard des obligations découlant de l'adhésion au Conseil de l'Europe. La commission de suivi a fait le point à ce respect par Saint-Marin et sur les institutions démocratiques et l'état de droit d'une façon très approfondie. Le système unique et solide d'institutions démocratiques et d'État de droit de Saint-Marin est bien adapté à son héritage démocratique historique ainsi qu'aux caractéristiques de son statut de micro-État. En même temps, on a déjà dit, il y a des particularités de ces structures gouvernementales qui ont également suscité des inquiétudes quant à l'efficacité du système d'équilibre de pouvoir dans le pays et la vulnérabilité potentielle de ces institutions démocratiques et de ses représentants à la corruption et au conflit d'intérêts. Ainsi, la Commission formule un certain nombre de recommandations visant à renforcer le système d'équilibre des pouvoirs et la résilience des institutions démocratiques, notamment en améliorant les conditions de travail des membres du Grand Conseil général et spécialement l'égalité plus approfondie entre hommes et femmes. Et dans ce domaine, il faut encore faire beaucoup de choses. Par exemple, la proportion de femmes dans le Parlement national est seulement de 33% et dans le secteur privé, 22%. Le chômage chez les femmes est de 2,56% et chez les hommes seulement 4,7%. Pour conserver son indépendance en tant qu'État souverain dans un monde de plus en plus interconnecté et interdépendant, Saint-Marin s'est parfaitement intégré malgré tout dans la communauté internationale et harmonisé ses institutions et son cadre juridique avec les normes internationales. Il convient de saluer les efforts déployés par Saint-Marin malgré les difficultés déjà relevées de son statut de micro-État pour ses institutions démocratiques et son cadre juridique respectent quand même les normes internationales, en particulier ses obligations en tant qu'État membre du Conseil de l'Europe. C'est pourquoi on soutient ce rapport et merci et bravo pour ce travail.
Merci Isabelle. La parole est à Madame Valentina Grippo, au nom du groupe politique ADLE.
Grazie Presidente, colleghi. Come è stato ben detto dalla relazione introduttiva e come è emerso nelle discussioni della Commissione monitoraggio, parliamo di uno Stato le cui istituzioni democratiche non solo hanno una tradizione molto antica, è il più antico Stato sovrano esistente al mondo, nonché la più antica Repubblica Costituzionale del mondo, ma parliamo di uno Stato, seppur piccolo, di 30.000 abitanti, dove le questioni di riconoscimento dei diritti umani, di riconoscimento dei diritti democratici sono di natura del tutto diversa di quelli dei quali ci troviamo normalmente a discutere in questa aula. Eppure bene ha fatto e apprezziamo molto il lavoro del relatore Andrei Junco e degli altri che hanno lavorato a questa relazione a enfatizzare come anche laddove i sistemi democratici funzionano e i diritti delle persone sono sostanzialmente garantiti, sia importante controllare e monitorare le criticità di quei meccanismi, proprio perché dove la democrazia funziona possiamo fare dei benchmark, dei casi di studio per capire come consolidare quelle regole democratiche che poi dobbiamo consolidare affinché possano reagire in stati e in situazioni dove, ahimè, il quadro è molto più complesso e dove i diritti essenziali non sono garantiti. Allora è importante aver spiegato come è importante garantire gli equilibri fra i poteri e quindi il meccanismo dei capitani reggenti che sono a capo dell'esecutivo, ma al contempo dettano l'organizzazione del Consiglio e quindi in qualche modo azzerano quella differenza e quella distinzione necessaria fra poteri che in una democrazia è la garanzia degli equilibri. Così come concordiamo, è giusto aver enfatizzato che, visto anche il ruolo che San Marino ha assunto negli anni nella propria politica internazionale, a partire dalla sua presenza qui dal 1988, nel suo ruolo di player economico nel mondo, quanto forse sia arrivato anche il momento di professionalizzare il ruolo di chi segue nell'organo di chi siede nell'organo di indirizzo, affinché possa emanciparsi in parte dal proprio lavoro e potersi dedicare a questo ruolo in modo più strutturato. Un aspetto che mi ha colpito è anche l'enfasi che avete dato ai meccanismi di consultazione istituzionale diretti, che vanno incrementati specialmente nelle proprie conseguenze, ma in generale ringraziamo del lavoro, esprimo a favore del gruppo dell'Alde il nostro parere favorevole sulla relazione e ringraziamo tutto il gruppo per il lavoro svolto.
Merci, Madame Grippot. Après les orateurs au nom des groupes politiques, on passe à la liste générale. Et la parole est à Madame Marika Montmaghi de Saint-Marin.
Grazie Presidente, grazie ai relatori, onorevole Unco, onorevole O'Reilly, onorevole Badea che ha seguito precedentemente i lavori, così come i funzionari. Colgo l'occasione per ringraziare tutti subito per questo lavoro di questi mesi. Capisco che non sia facile approcciarsi a quelle che sono le problematiche, le dinamiche di un piccolo Stato come San Marino, a 34.000 abitanti, dimensioni e rapporti interpersonali comparabili a quelli di una piccola città, ma con complessità e responsabilità di un grande Stato. Credo che la visita e l'incontro quindi con le autorità e la società civile siano state fondamentali per capire quanto sia importante proprio l'equilibrio tra poteri, garantire l'indipendenza e la democrazia. La nostra storia dimostra la capacità e la volontà della nostra piccola e libera terra di mantenersi repubblica. La vostra relazione obiettiva e condivisibile ci permetterà di sviscerare le tematiche e le vostre preoccupazioni e deve condurci, forze politiche di maggioranza e di opposizione, ad un importante dibattito politico interno affinché la libertà di espressione, soprattutto quella dei cittadini, sia sempre garantita e non soffocata dall'azione del governo, affinché il nostro Parlamento possa avere la dignità che merita e non solo arginare l'azione di un governo che agisce troppo spesso per decreto, affinché la società civile che si riunisce in organizzazioni e in associazioni possa sentirsi davvero parte attiva al fianco delle istituzioni e delle autorità e non esclusa o messa a tacere o sentirsi minacciata. Ci tengo a sottolineare che se abbiamo compiuto grandi passi in avanti negli ultimi anni riguardo ai diritti civili delle donne, lo dobbiamo anche alla forte spinta della società civile. Il vostro rapporto sottolinea proprio questo. Abbiamo moltissimi strumenti di democrazia diretta attraverso i quali i cittadini o anche un solo cittadino possono proporre interventi di interesse pubblico direttamente ai capi di Stato affinché questi portino le loro istanze al Consiglio Grande Generale durante il mandato. E questi strumenti di democrazia devono essere garantiti, preservati e non dispersi perché non attuati. Quindi accolgo con estremo favore la vostra esortazione, così come colgo con favore la vostra raccomandazione per un'effettiva indipendenza dell'autorità dei media. Abbiamo vissuto storicamente periodi molto bui, mi riferisco alla questione morale scoppiata negli anni 2000, in cui anche la politica è stata coinvolta direttamente. Il riferimento va per esempio al conto Mazzini, di cui parlate nel rapporto, che ha scosso fortemente l'opinione pubblica e le istituzioni e che ancora oggi rappresenta una ferita non del tutto chiusa, alla vulnerabilità dei rapporti tra poteri dello Stato, alla difficile e controversa indipendenza della magistratura, tutti fattori che hanno contribuito a sollecitare una necessaria revisione normativa, nonché il vostro stesso monitoraggio. Quindi come Paese vogliamo e dobbiamo percorrere solo una strada, quella del rispetto dei valori della democrazia, della trasparenza, dell'adempienza ai principi di quegli organismi sovranazionali e internazionali di cui facciamo parte e di cui vogliamo far parte. La democrazia non basta annunciarla, bisogna tenerla viva e per farlo occorre impegnarsi sempre, costantemente e non dare nessun diritto mai per scontato. Ringrazio nuovamente i relatori per questa grande opportunità di confronto.
Merci, Madame Montmaghi. La parole est à Madame Elisaveta Jasko de l'Ukraine. Vous avez la parole, Madame.
Dear colleagues, dear rapporteur, I want to congratulate you on a very positive report. It's always a pleasure to hear about a report that has no problems, you know. And as rightly said, that the only concern that we've heard is regarding the reimbursement and the possible payments for those who represent the state. As we've learned, it's a very interesting fact that unfortunately those who represent San Marino, representatives of San Marino state, they are not paid for their job. And I think, of course, there is definitely a risk of having certain corruption risks. And this is something that I think which is in the report is important. Other than that, I just want to, one more time, to congratulate on this report the rapporteur and the San Marino delegation. Thank you.
Merci, Madame Iasko. La parole est à Madame Anna Kristarnardottir, Gunnarsdottir. Sorry, I didn't spell it very well. Vous avez la parole, Madame.
Thank you, Madam President. As a citizen of another small state, I would like to address a bit the issues of small states and their challenges. Among small states in Europe, Iceland is unique as well for its extremely small population of about 380,000 people, geographical isolation, and relatively strong economy. As noted in the draft resolution we are discussing here, the characteristics of San Marino as a very small state, microstate even, have resulted in a very close proximity between the citizens and their political and governing structures, and an equally close distance between the different branches of powers, which are often intertwined. Small countries are not smaller versions of large countries. Differences between large and small states are not merely quantitative, but also qualitative. In most cases, human, financial, and material resources in small states are limited, with the most important resource constraint being the shortage of human resources and the special social ecology that comes with it. Limited human resources in terms of small population have an impact on the functioning of the government, the private sector, as well as the non-governmental sector. Consequences of smallness for governance can be identified in 4 paradoxes relating to size, generalist administration versus specialist, informal versus formal governance, and centralization versus decentralization. The shortage of human resources is one of the paradoxes of small states, meaning that the scarce human resources of a small state may work as an advantage and a disadvantage at the same time. For example, although there are fewer people to do the work, communication channels are shorter, and there is more space for individualized decision-making. In a small state, administrative processes are more personalized, and the distance between different levels of government is smaller, which makes coordination processes faster. Small states have unique social, political, and administrative characteristics, and they have to live with contradictory pressures. Public organizations in small states face contextual issues which are significantly different from those of large countries, such as the high importance of individuals, multifunctionalism, and reliance on informal networks. My point here is that the smallness of a country poses challenges, but also entails strengths that can be actuated to deal with the challenges. It is clear from the report of Mr. Junco and Mr. O'Reilly that the particularities of a small state, in this case a microstate, have to an extent been utilized to create a developed system of democratic and rule of law institutions. I thank the rapporteurs for their interesting report and commend the state of San Marino for continuing on this path.
Merci beaucoup, Madame Christina Dottir, Gunnar Dottir. Et la parole est à Madame Ripsim Grigorian de l'Arménie. Elle n'est pas. Donc, la liste des orateurs est épuisée et j'appelle la réplique de la Commission pour 5 minutes et M. Unku pour répondre aux intervenants. Vous avez la parole.
Vielen Dank, Frau Präsidentin, liebe Kolleginnen und Kollegen. Vielen Dank für die freundliche und interessante Diskussion. Vielleicht noch ein paar Gedanken und Ergänzungen dazu. Zum Thema der Kleinstaaten und Island, ja auch gerade geredet, ist ja auch ein Kleinstaat, der eine spezifische demokratische Tradition hat. Das Besondere, glaube ich, an San Marino und an Island ist nicht nur, dass sie Kleinstaaten sind, dass sie ja, besondere Probleme haben, sondern auch eine jahrhundertealte republikanische Tradition aufrechterhalten haben, in einer Zeit, in der es ganz andere schlimme diktatorische Entwicklungen in Europa gegeben hat. Das sozusagen fordert wirklich meinen Respekt auch heraus. Und vielleicht noch eine Ergänzung, weil es noch nicht erwähnt worden ist. In San Marino gibt es ein besonderes System der Repräsentation des Staates mit den 2 Capitani, den Due Capitani, die halbjährlich rotierend den Staat San Marino sowie ein Präsident, aber als Duo den Staat international vertreten. Auch das ist eine ganz alte Tradition, die bei mir sehr viel Sympathie hervorruft. Die Frauenrechte sind angesprochen worden. Natürlich ist San Marino auch irgendwo traditionell vielleicht etwas konservativ gewesen, aber es hat vor kurzem dort ein Referendum gegeben, das auch das Abtreibungsrecht deutlich liberalisiert hat und die eben das Recht, auch per Volksentscheid solche Entwicklungen zu machen, zeigt ja auch, dass dieses Land sich selbst sozusagen modernisieren kann und auch auf diesem Wege voranschreitet. Kleinstaaten haben aber, ob sie groß sind oder klein, in der UNO und auch im Europarat, im Ministerkomitee das gleiche Stimmrecht. Und das ist ja auch bedeutend. Ja, ich denke zum Beispiel an in der UNO an den Vertrag zum Verbot von Atomwaffen, der in Kraft getreten ist, nachdem 50 Staaten ihn ratifiziert haben. Darunter ist auch San Marino und damit ist diese Zahl erreicht worden. Da ist das gleiche Stimmrecht da und auch das sollte man respektieren und ich bin auch dankbar in dem Fall, weil ich diesen Vertrag unterstütze. Insgesamt, wie gesagt, es war für mich ich war ja zweimal in San Marino, ich bin auch außerhalb dieses Mandates schon im September 2020 nach San Marino gefahren, weil es auch eine besondere Situation dort gab in Bezug auf die Pandemie, da interessante Gespräche. Und da hat auch San Marino ja auch einen kreativen Weg entwickelt, mit einer sehr schwierigen Situation umzugehen. Für mich war das eine tolle Erfahrung und ich freue mich, dass die Kollegen aus San Marino so positiv auch reagieren, hier auch auf die kritischen Punkte in diesem Bericht und bitte um Zustimmung und nochmal vielen Dank für die gute Zusammenarbeit.
Merci, Monsieur Unko. Monsieur le Président de la Commission, Monsieur Piero Fassino, vous avez la parole pour 3 minutes.
Oui, chers collègues, nous avons tout à l'heure débattu sur le rapport périodique. C'est le 5e rapport périodique après l'adoption d'une nouvelle méthode de nos rapports. Comme l'a déjà souligné M. Nicolini, l'idée de suivre les obligations de tous les pays membres du Conseil a pleinement démontré ses avantages. Je vous rappelle qu'avant la commission de suivi, il a fait des rapports seulement avec les pays qui ont pris des engagements spécifiques de leur adhésion. On a changé et on applique le monitorage périodique avec tous les pays membres du Conseil parce que je pense qu'il faut vérifier le respect de nos statuts, des règles démocratiques, de l'état de droit dans tous les pays, soit les pays qui ont une tradition démocratique de plus longue période, soit les pays qui sont plus jeunes dans sa vie démocratique. Et en plus, cette nouvelle méthode nous consente de nous permettre de vérifier mieux et de mieux vérifier et mieux connaître les spécifiques conditions de chaque pays. Surtout dans le cas de pays micro comme San Marino, il est évident que l'activité de monitorage a vérifié des différents problèmes plus spécifiques qui se posent dans un pays qui est petit. Par exemple, il est plus prochain le pouvoir aux citoyens, et ça, il est très positif. Dans le même temps, il est plus difficile de maintenir claire la distinction entre le pouvoir législatif et le pouvoir exécutif. Dans un pays qui est très petit, l'influence des médias réciproques est plus grande. Et donc, il y a des spécifiques conditions qu'il est bien d'examiner et je pense que la relation qu'a fait M. Unco il est très claire et je pense qu'il a donné une vision absolument correcte. Je me félicite avec M. Unco pour son rapport. Je me félicite aussi avec les autorités du Saint-Marin qui ont coopéré pour faire ce rapport et je souhaite que le rapport puisse être approuvé à l'unanimité dans notre Conseil. Merci.
Merci, Monsieur Fassino. La discussion est close. La commission de suivi a présenté un projet de résolution sur lequel aucun amendement n'a été déposé. Donc, on passe au vote sur le projet de résolution. La majorité simple est requise. Nous allons donc procéder au vote sur le projet de résolution contenu dans le document 15 737. Le scrutin est ouvert. Le scrutin est clos. Je demande l'affichage du résultat et le projet de résolution contenu dans le document 15 737 est adopté. Félicitations. L'ordre du jour appelle la discussion du rapport au nom de la Commission de la culture, de la science, de l'éducation et des médias sur les jeunes et les médias, document 15726, qui sera présenté par Madame Yevgenia Kravchuk, ainsi que de l'avis oral présenté par Madame Sevin Fatalieva, au nom de la Commission des questions sociales, de la santé et du développement durable. Nous devrions avoir épuisé la liste des orateurs vers 12h30, puis nous entendrons la réplique de la Commission et procéderons au vote nécessaire. Madame Kravchuk, je vous rappelle que vous disposez d'un temps de parole de 7 minutes pour la présentation de votre rapport et de 3 minutes pour répondre aux orateurs à la fin de la discussion générale. Vous avez la parole, Madame Kravchuk.
Thank you, Madam Chair, dear colleagues, chers collègues. Our work on the report on youth in the media that I present for adoption today was initiated more than 2 years ago in January 2021 with a motion for a resolution tabled by our former colleague, Ms. Tamar Taliashvili. She accomplished most of the work, preparatory work, but had to leave PACE, having been appointed as permanent representative of her own country, Georgia, to the Council of Europe. And actually, Tamar is here with us in this assembly. Let's greet her. It's very good that representatives of the Committee of Ministers are coming to hear their previous reports. Therefore, Ms. O'Loughlin had the honor to take over in December 2022. Unfortunately, Ms. O'Loughlin had to return to Ireland yesterday, and I will present her report to you as a chairperson of the Cultural Committee. This report has two aims. Firstly, to assess the current challenges and opportunities associated with access, exposure, and engagement of young audiences with a wide variety of mainstreaming and non-mainstream digital news sources. And secondly, to provide member states with specific guidelines and recommendations in this respect. Let me briefly inform you why we launched this report. For you, social media is the preferred means of communication and creative expression, and they are to go-to source of information, games, and entertainment in general. Social media is also a tool for young people who increasingly want to have their say in today's issues and global challenges, such as human rights, environmental protection, sustainable development, and peace. Clearly, the development of digital networks has opened up a wealth of creative, educational, inclusive, diverse, and revolutionary opportunities for youth empowerment. But technological change has also throws up recent challenges such as information disorder and regulatory gaps in digital spaces, mis- and disinformation, manipulation, incitement to violence, online harassment, isolation to filter bubbles, and belief in conspiracy theories. By design, technologies are likely to trigger addictive user behavior, especially among the young. The safety issues related to illegal content, including cybercrime, pornography, cyberbullying, and violence, are also wide-ranging. There's also an economic dimension. Young people are involved in a variety of paid and unpaid economic transactions on the internet, including aspirational labor through creative expression on social media. These forms of free labor generate power asymmetries in the digital economy that lead to structural inequalities. Combating this kind of labor exploitation is vital. We need to be aware of these dangers and develop strategies to counter them while upholding young people's fundamental rights. The balance between freedom and regulation is fundamental, and this is what we want to achieve with this report. I wish to highlight some of the major issues raised by the report. First, the news media usage. Social media is becoming the primary gateway to news and information. Young adults are more likely to come across news incidentally, and they tend to prefer non-traditional news sources such as social media and blogs. The fact that professional journalists are not always perceived and relevant news sources is concerning. Credible information also depends on credible journalists, and there are ways to raise the profile of independent community and local media projects by providing public funding to reduce reliance on advertisement. In this respect, public service media play a crucial role in fostering professional journalism. But it is also up to the media themselves to bring their news formats, products, and delivery up to date, and to find new ways of engaging and interacting with young audiences, including young people from minority backgrounds who are deliberately turning to social networks. Second, digital self-determination. Communicating online, watching videos, and keeping up with the news at a fast pace has become the norm, with all the attendant security, digital privacy, and reputational issues. Facebook repeatedly made misleading statements about the size of its audience, whereas TikTok literally pumped personal data out of the network by unlawfully collecting dates of birth, phone numbers, and email addresses, as well as information on sexual orientation and religious beliefs, and even the biometric data of millions of young users. This is why member states of the Council of Europe should align their national legislation with the standards set by the Convention for the Protection of Individuals with regard to automatic processing of personal data, Convention 108, and its modernized version. This means, for example, introducing strict penalties for social media platforms when they engage in unfair commercial practices and collect and use data on minors for commercial purposes. A major step is being made at EU level with the recent Digital Services Act, and it would be a good idea to also extend its legislation to non-EU countries. The third, harmful content. Cyberbullying, toxic content are widespread in all European countries. Pornographic content is sadly a distant but important part of cyberbullying. The dissemination of non-consensual pornography, such as upskirting, spy cams, revenge porn, and stolen images, but also the spreading of fake porn and deepfakes are rapidly growing phenomena in Europe. Intermediate service providers need to comply with the requirement to reduce the amount of this illegal content on their sites, notably through a trusted flagger mechanism whereby entities who have been awarded the status in the member states on the basis of their expertise submit notices and are treated as priority. A fourth issue is aspirational labor. Young people are contributing to a changing economic landscape, providing labor for free in the hope of future payoff. They take risks and provide unpaid and underpaid labor with no guarantee of future earnings. Regulatory frameworks should be developed to correct the unbalanced power relationships between young people and corporate platforms with for-profit business models. These are the most striking aspects of the report. The recommendations in the draft resolution seek to respect a balance between autonomy and responsibility. It is the duty of states, regulators, educators, civil society, and private platforms to ensure that the young people of today are the informed and responsible adults of the future. I thank you and urge to support this report and resolution.
Merci, Madame Kravchuk. Madame Fatalieva, vous avez la parole pour présenter l'avis oral de la Commission des questions sociales. Vous avez 3 minutes, s'il vous plaît.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to speak here on behalf of the Social Affairs Committee and the Rapporteur for Opinion, Ms. Jones. I would like to praise the Rapporteur, Ms. O'Loughlin, for her well-documented report on youth and media. I appreciate the excellent approach to the topic, which has increasingly become an area of concern for a great number of parents and educators in the world, and has been even more true during the COVID-19 pandemic and lockdowns. Internet and digital platforms have become the most widely used means of communicating and assessing and disseminating information in a broader sense. The analysis, benefits, risks of the increased use of digital media is thoroughly described. I agree that social media is an important tool for young people who increasingly have their say in today's crucial issues and global challenges, including the environment, sustainable development, and human rights. Nevertheless, social media also present risks that can be harmful for young people, such as disinformation, manipulation, incitement to violence, online harassment, and belief in conspiracy theories, to name but a few. As the rapporteur pointed out, I am also concerned by the rise of exposure to pornography and deepfakes, including pornographic ones that can be detrimental to the psychological development of children and young people. I welcome the reference to this issue because deepfake porn can have devastating and lasting impacts, such as anxiety, depression, and post-traumatic stress disorder.
Concerning the suggested solutions, I do believe that it is useful to have robust, overarching legislation. But at the same time, we should be balanced in the way that we approach the targeted audience, youth, avoiding paternalistic lessons about the use of digital tools. And this is simply because we cannot criticize youth for doing what quite a lot of us do, who can say that they are not at all in the trend for news snacking. Consider, for example, politicians who are always online. Actually, as is so often the case, digital skills and critical thinking are the basic means to tackle information disorder and harmful content. An issue of routinely scrutinizing for cyberbullying is a very sensitive and touchy one, because confidence is a key word for a good relation between healthcare professionals and young patient. On the practical level, we are wondering how this can be done. Sometimes for young people, it is only entry door to support. So there is an essential preliminary requirement for her. Healthcare professionals should be specifically trained. In the past decade, engagement on digital platforms and social media has been a crucial part of many young people's civic and political engagement. That was even truer in 2020 when the COVID-19 pandemic forced many activities to move online. Finally, I want to stress that for many young people, social media is a critical part of their civic development that they are not getting from traditional media. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Madam Vatalieva. Now in the debate, I call first Mr. Konstantinos Efstasiou from Cyprus, and Konstantinos speaks on behalf of the group of the Socialists, Democrats and Greens. You have the floor, Konstantinos.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Dear colleagues, it is correctly stated that rapid technological advances and digital transformation have changed every aspect of our daily lives, affecting our financial, physical, mental and social well-being. In this new digital environment, the production and dissemination of information through online media outlets has become mainstream, shedding the characteristics of traditional media, mainly those of accuracy and neutrality. While most of us have experienced a drastic shift from traditional to digital media, this is not the case for the younger generations which were born and were raised in the digital era. However, technological change does not only bring advantage, it also brings many risks and challenges. According to the rapporteur, since many young people have not been taught media literacy and do not have good news consumption, they are easy targets for misinformation, manipulation, and exploitation. Offered global connection, endless information, and instant communication, our youth today has possibilities that we could only imagine in terms of their social engagement and entertainment, but also in terms of new opportunities to education and work. However, with benefits come many risks. The challenges arising from the current digital media culture are countless and multifaceted. Youth and small children are especially vulnerable because they lack the necessary awareness, as well as the tools and solutions to protect themselves against the many threats they face. New strategies need to be developed based on equal access, broad knowledge, and the responsible engagement on their own life. Action plans should focus on incorporating media education in school curricula that addresses specific issues such as cybercrime, pornography, tech obsession, and gaming addiction. Raising awareness and developing the necessary skills should start at an early stage and age. At the same time, digital literacy could adopt to all ages separately, mindful of our generation's gap. Of course, the biggest challenge is whether we can make policy and decisions, adopt relevant legislation, and implement appropriate measures faster than the speed of technological advancements, or are we doomed to remain reactive to development and progress? In PACE Resolution 2314 of 2019, we agree that our children are the digital natives and that our priority is to inspire them to become digital citizens and assume their responsibilities. In this respect, we must help them separate between good and evil, truth and lies, information from misinformation. This is why we agree with the rapporteur when she states that the challenge of a sustainable regulatory approach is to strike a balance between ensuring minors safe social media use and digital determination, and at the same time, protecting them from potentially harmful behaviors and other dangers emanating and coming from those who control the media and the flow of information. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Konstantinos. Next, we are going to listen to Madam Lisa Yasko from Ukraine. And Lisa speaks on behalf of the European People's Party. You have the floor, Lisa.
Dear colleagues, this report is important, and it says lots of positive things about the role of media for youth, but also mentions many negative, very dangerous moments when young people are suffering from social media. And one of these very negative impact is the impact of the social media to mental health of young people. And according to all the statistics, we see that the social media contributes incredibly to depression, anxiety, or feeling loneliness, and also inability to communicate with others in normal life, not only in the digital world. Another very important negative impact on the youth comes from the use of violence in the media. And this is where I want to put a special emphasis, because when we look at the numbers of which of the social media are most used by young people, we will see that usually it's TikTok, it's Instagram. And when we look at what kind of policies they have, and they will have the policies which will say that they prohibit the usage of violence and any calls for discrimination or propaganda or anything militaristic. Despite all of this, there is lots of propaganda and use of violence where children and teenagers are used for PR purposes of the war. And something that really concerns many of Ukrainians is how Russia is using social media and TikTok accounts to spread information about Wagner terrorist groups. When we look of how many hashtags with Wagner or anything about Putin the TikTok is using, we will be shocked. It looks like, unfortunately, the policies that exist at social media are not fully fulfilled, because I think it's very important that we in this assembly make a call for calling all the social media platforms to implement the non-violent policies, where terrorist groups simply won't be allowed to be viewed by anyone, including children, who are in a very dangerous group of this impact. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Now I call in the debate Madam Sonia Gazarian from Armenia, and Sonia speaks on behalf of the Alliance of Democrats and Liberals in Europe. Sonia, you have the floor.
Honorable Chair, dear colleagues, I would like to express my gratitude to, first of all, Ms. Kravchuk for taking the floor for her speech. I would like also to thank Madame Olokhlin for her excellent analysis on the topic of youth and media. Media can provide young people with an excellent platform for networking, for self-expression. It can be a good platform to gain new skills and knowledge. However, dear friends, it can be a source of mental health issues. As Madame Yasko mentioned, it can violate young people's privacy and personal data and promote illegal content that should be a priority for us as members of national parliaments. It is critical that young people are aware and informed about the regulations, that they are here or to be here to protect their rights. Us as lawmakers, it should be essential to keep in mind that we should maintain a delicate balance between freedom and regulation. We must ensure that young people's creative potential in the digital environment is not hindered or economically exploited. It is also important to note that children and young people are faced with the information overload, be it TikTok, Instagram, bunch of influencers, video bloggers, promoting sometimes even very harmful narratives on social media, such as toxic advertising, pornography, body shaming. Regulating this harmful content is critical. Furthermore, in the digital ecosystem, cyberbullying, online harassment, and cyber aggression comes in various forms, including hacking into another accounts, disseminating photos or videos online, spreading materials, dangerous materials online, etc. Young people must be protected from such behavior. It is also a responsibility of us states, lawmakers, regulators, educators, civil society platforms, and private platforms to ensure that young people are well informed and responsible. They are responsible adults in the future. Friends, we should work together to protect our young people. As a conclusion, I would like to quote our friend Petra Steinin, who put it very nicely in a political team meeting. She nicely noted that media is like a knife. You can cut a cake with this, but you also can kill a person. So this is all about the matter of usage. I call us to work with people to use media properly. Thank you.
Thank you, Sonja. Next in the debate, I call Madam Nicole Höchst from Germany. Nicole speaks on behalf of the European Conservatives. You have the floor.
Herr Präsident, werte Kollegen, meine sehr verehrten Damen und Herren! Das Thema Jugend und Medien ist ein großes Spannungsfeld. Ich möchte deswegen auf wenige Punkte fokussieren, die meines Erachtens nicht hoch genug aufgehängt werden können. Erstens. Der Umgang mit Medien will gelehrt und gelernt werden. Heranwachsende müssen ein Gespür dafür entwickeln, ob sie medial manipuliert werden sollen und wer aus welchem Grund einen Nutzen daraus haben könnte. Sie müssen lernen, zu recherchieren und nicht blind Propaganda oder sogenannten Faktenfindern und erwünschten, aber fabrizierten Wahrheiten aufzusitzen. Heißt, Heranwachsende müssen lernen, sich eine eigene Meinung zu bilden. Und das ist sehr schwer, wenn sie zum Beispiel wie in Zeiten von Corona-Lockdowns auf reinen Medienkonsum zurückgeworfen werden und keine gegenteiligen Positionen hören, mitdenken oder mitdiskutieren müssen. Mein zweiter Punkt betrifft die körperliche und geistige Gesundheit. In Zeiten sich realisierender Digitalität zeigen Kinder und Heranwachsende bereits psychische und physische Schäden durch stundenlanges Stillsitzen vor einem digitalen Endgerät, mittels dessen zunehmend Schulunterricht, Medienkonsum und Freizeit stattfindet. Bewegung aber ist nicht nur der körperlichen Gesundheit unbedingt zuträglich, sondern auch der neuronalen Vernetzung des Gehirns. Heißt, je weniger Schüler und Heranwachsende sich bewegen, desto unterkomplexer strukturieren sich nachweislich Denkprozesse, desto mehr häufen sich gesundheitliche Probleme. Drittens, Lehre und Lernen. Die unkontrollierte Verbreitung digitaler Medien im Unterricht gefährdet die Bildungschancen vieler Schüler. Guter Unterricht zeichnet sich durch den direkten Kontakt zwischen kompetenten Lehrern und Schülern aus, die ausreichend Zeit für ihre Schüler haben, und durch gute Unterrichtsvorbereitung. Das Online-Lernen und der Umgang mit Medien bieten hierzu lediglich eine Ergänzung und können die analogen Gelingensbedingungen für guten Unterricht nicht ersetzen. Im zukünftigen Einsatz von künstlicher Intelligenz in Schulen und Medien, zum Beispiel in Form von Sprachmodellen wie ChatGPT, sehen wir Chancen und Grenzen. In jedem Fall müssen die Schüler befähigt werden, dieses Medium wie alle anderen auch kritisch und kompetent zu nutzen. Drängender denn je ist vor diesem Hintergrund die Vermittlung und Festigung guter Allgemeinbildung und der Fähigkeit zu analytischem Denken, die dies ermöglicht. Kinder und Heranwachsende benötigen humanistische Bildung und selbstständiges, nicht von fremden Interessen geleitetes Denken für den souveränen Umgang mit Digitalität und Medien. Vielen Dank.
Dank sehr, Nicole. Next in the debate, I call Madam Judith Guladottir from Iceland, and she speaks on behalf of the Unified European Left. Judith, you have the floor.
Mr. President, dear colleagues, our group supports the spirit of this resolution and thanks the rapporteur and her team for their important work on this timely and comprehensive report. We consider it important to underline that even if the media empowers youth and even if young people use social media for far more than older people, the youth and young people should equally be given enough opportunity and stimulated to participate in real life through other means than the internet. We urge consideration of some additional points which benefits all users of online media. Member States should ensure that the implementation of legislation in respect of freedom of information requirement is prioritized. Member States must resist the criminalization of journalism and protect journalists and their sources from politically motivated persecution. Member States must be vigilant to covert manipulation and soft pressure, as well as the misuse of anti-terror legislation. We urge to be more cautious when it comes to the call to provide financial support to fact-checking initiatives to counteract mis- and disinformation. Practice and experience show that these measures can be intentionally or unintentionally used to take us down the slippery slope towards censorship of public debate, whether done through political pressure or disguised as fact-checking efforts to counter misinformation and disinformation. The sinister reality about so-called fact-checking initiatives, as we have particularly noticed during elections, times of war, and more recently during the COVID pandemic, is that political opponents' unpopular ideas and diverse voices can be silenced in the name of preserving truth. Media organizations should be encouraged to maintain high standards in public debate so as to avoid misinformation and disinformation. This Assembly has taken a strong stance against this, and in particular against the silencing of journalists for simply reporting truthful information. Censorship, we know, can take place without the need for any official ban. Thank you, Mr. President, for allowing me to make my first contribution to this Assembly. Thank you.
And may I congratulate you, Joris, with your maiden speech in this Assembly. We are looking forward to hear you more often in the future. Well done. Now in the debate, I call Madam Luz Martinez Sello from Spain. You have the floor. Luz.
Gracias, presidente. En primer lugar, debo comenzar por dar la enhorabuena a la reporters, gran trabajo a Fiona y a Ruth, aunque no esté presente hoy aquí, no solo por la pertinencia y actualidad, sino por el múltiple impacto en la juventud. Es un hecho que hoy cada vez hay más información disponible en diferentes recursos y tecnologías y que los jóvenes son cada vez más competentes en los formatos digitales, mucho más que la población adulta. Acceden a información que a los adultos nos cuesta más encontrar o incluso nos descubren nuevas opciones y potencialidades desconocidas. Es muy positivo que fluya la información y que ésta sea cada vez más asequible. Sin embargo, cada vez son más los contenidos con riesgo a los que los jóvenes pueden tener acceso fácilmente y ni las familias, ni los padres o las personas adultas podemos estar permanentemente supervisando a nuestros jóvenes, intentando evitar que accedan a información perjudicial, información para la que no tienen suficiente formación o capacidad de comprensión. Por ello es tan importante poner filtros, crear herramientas de protección y prevención de la desinformación o manipulación, poner filtros para que determinados mensajes dañinos no puedan afectar al desarrollo de la juventud, filtros que velen por mantener vivos los principios y valores que defendemos desde el Consejo de Europa, valores democráticos, el respeto, la tolerancia o la defensa de la igualdad, entre otros. No hay mejor herramienta que la educación, ni mejor espacio que la escuela para inculcar de manera general una formación cívica y crítica que permita discernir la verdad de la mentira, el valor del equilibrio, el razonar y pensar antes que actuar y el contrastar antes de tomar una noticia o información por válida. Las redes sociales son un espacio de comunicación y socialización de los jóvenes, más aún con motivo de la pandemia. Se han convertido en una manera básica de comunicación, pero también son motivo de conflicto, de tensión y hasta de acoso entre jóvenes. Y una vez más, puede ser un medio muy adverso y difícil de supervisar por los adultos. La necesaria privacidad y el espacio que demandan los jóvenes se hace también real en las redes sociales, donde la individualidad y la privacidad se ciñen a una cuenta y a una contraseña privada. Las redes sirven para socializar, pero también para dañar mucho a jóvenes. Mensajes privados, pero también en abierto, contenidos que persiguen dañar, ridiculizar, incluso acosar a jóvenes. La intimidación directa o indirecta a través de las tecnologías de la información, correos electrónicos, teléfonos móviles, redes sociales, blogs, foros, etc. Son prácticas comunes y caracterizadas por la ausencia del contacto directo y a la cara, la presencia y el mantenimiento del mensaje o acción agresiva durante mucho más tiempo y la existencia de una audiencia no deseada y de difícil control y acceso. Ante nuevos problemas hay nuevas formas de acoso. Por ello es preciso intervenir de forma interdisciplinar y el sistema educativo debe garantizar los instrumentos necesarios para proporcionar información, educación para la ciudadanía democrática y los contenidos necesarios para alcanzar la competencia ciudadana y con protocolos de actuación de tolerancia cero ante cualquier tipo de acoso, como es el ciberacoso también. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias, Luz. Now in the debate, I call Madam Maria Mezentseva from Ukraine. Maria, you have the floor.
Danke well. Thank you, dear President. I would like to congratulate the committee and the reporter who is replaced today by Evgenia Kravchuk and all the secretariat who has been working on the numerous issues which are linked to democracy and at the same time the absence of democracy sometimes. The controlling functions which are linked to the media are sometimes banning the freedom of speech. But at the same time, in the world where we cannot distinguish what the democracy is or what is happening to the roots and causes of non-implications of the democracy, we really have to take the control measures. And sometimes it is also linked to religion or the views or the drama which is happening to the youngsters and to the people who are still in the search of their own identities and personalities. And this is also a question of democracy. Surely the current different crises we're facing, for instance, the armed conflicts or the revolutions or anything which have the implications of the European Charter of Human Rights, for instance, Article 11, a right for peace demonstrations, that calls were emerging from the social media, from the media of the new generations. They were calling the people on the streets for democracy, to exercise their rights. And that was youth representatives at the first place. One of the greatest examples was very well known in the modern history of our continent, which is the Revolution of Dignity from 2014 in Ukraine, which overlapped further to various kind of Russian aggression, which touched upon colleagues according to the UN estimations with the recent a great invasion of February 2022, 94 states and 1.7 billion people of the planet Earth. And it does have implications in the media, in democracy, and in the understanding of youth. I also want to congratulate and to inform you, dear colleagues, about our new laws on youth, which we have implemented just a couple of years ago, given an opportunity for funded project, and I would like to congratulate Council of Europe and the PACE for continuous support of youth and media projects which are rolling. Even our interventions is the part of media, in the part of how do we articulate our values and decisions. Thank you to the committee, to the rapporteur, and to you, dear President.
Thank you, Maria. Now we are going to listen to Mr. Rafael Husseinov from Azerbaijan. Rafael, you have the floor.
Thank you, President. Dear colleagues, youth and media have always been connected with each other, and the media by essence signifies youth. The history of the press also demonstrates that it was created and moved forward even in the most complicated times, usually by young, energetic people. However, modern, already digitized network media with wings that make it possible to fly to the most distant expanses, such as the internet, of course, are more than ever associated with young people. In other words, young people unconditionally dominate in modern media space, both as a user and as a creator. Needless to say, if we study social networks from the most approximate statistical point of view, it will be determined that people over 40, 50 years old make up a small proportion compared to young people. Well, what is the level of content control in US media, notably in electronic media, which have long surpassed print media in coverage and speed? This is not about political control and censorship, but about literary, spiritual, scientific, and cultural editing. Currently, this is practically no such control. Therefore, in the space of electronic media, along with materials of a high intellectual level, extremely useful and high from a scientific and artistic point of view, we often come across works that belittle the taste of the illiterate, simplistic, flawed, insufficiently trained masses and present primitiveness as the norm. Nonetheless, there is a more dangerous trend, the spread of deliberately destructive, false, misleading, and harmful materials. Certainly, much more dangerous materials that incite and promote aggression, cruelty, crime, and various addictions aimed at children, adolescents, and young people, whose consciousness is easier to influence. How to protect young people from these in the media? Currently, the media space is like a door without a lock, a stage without a curtain. Once everyone opens this door, the whole landscape will appear before them without any obstacles. That is, it seems impossible to protect young people from the harm they might face in the media space. In my opinion, the way out is to remove anonymity so that there appears some order and more responsibility and accountability in joining this common space for all in posting materials. Mechanisms of registration on the internet and verification of this reality should be developed. In this case, since the person addressing the youth and the whole society is known in the media, his ability to make any speech that may entail legal liability will be at least as limited as possible. The modern mass media are the most important and indispensable place for young people to express themselves. However, protecting young people from unwanted influence in this empty space is a responsibility and a duty that should always be kept in focus. Thank you.
Thank you, Rafael. Next in the debate, I call Madam Boglakra Iles from Hungary. You have the floor, Madam.
We are experiencing difficulties.
Your microphone, Madam.
Is it good? Okay. So, thank you, Mr. Chair. We are experiencing difficulties which we, our generation, believed we will never see and never experience. The priorities among problems and challenges were totally changed. And unfortunately, we couldn't focus on those questions which were previously the most important. For example, how affects the media our life, mostly the development of youth and children. So I would like to congratulate the rapporteur on choosing this very important topic, because media is not only surrounding us, but it became an integral part of our life. Hungarian young people aged between 15 and 29 have more and more info communication devices in their homes and tend to have more of their own devices. In 2012, a narrow third of young people aged 15 and 29 in Hungary had a smartphone. By 2020, almost everyone. So when we talk about the dangers of the digital world, we have to think about first the quality and quantity of the time spent with digital tools. And I think the key distinction between a book or a toy and a TV or a tablet play session seems to be in who is controlling, the youth or the child's attention. Because the lack of conscious observance can lead to the development of rudimentary problems that later cause other health-damaging effects. Although the internet offers many opportunities for young people to form relationships with others, the possibility of loneliness is still there because of the majority of digital conversations instead of personal relationships. So I think we have to bear in our minds, or we always have to ask ourselves the question, during we are dealing with a critical issue and we are looking for the answers. Will it be enough? Will it be only a symptomatic treatment, or we found the real roots of the problem and we found a real solution? Because I think the good question is to ask whether interactivity has impact on children's and youth developing abilities to pay attention and self-regulate. It is necessary to form sustaining communities in order to reduce the risk of loneliness and to have meaningful live, personal conversations. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Boglakar. It's a beautiful name. I have to do it with Tini Cox. That's Next in the debate, I call another person with a beautiful name. It's Mr. Stefan Schenak from Austria. Stefan, you have the floor.
Dankeschön, Herr Präsident. Zuerst muss ich einmal sagen, ich war wirklich tief beeindruckt von diesem Bericht, den Fiona hier vorgelegt hat. Er ist am Punkt, aber es zeigt auch zwei Seiten. Das eine, er erhöht die Möglichkeit junger Menschen, sich politisch zu partizipieren, aber er erhöht auch die Gefahr der Manipulation. Wenn wir auf der einen Seite die Informationen, auf der anderen Seite haben wir aber auch Mitgliedstaaten, in denen die Regierung die komplette Kontrolle über die Medien hat. Nur so können Jugendliche auch andere Informationen bekommen. Und natürlich haben wir hier eine riesige Gefahr der Manipulation. Gerade rechte und rechtsextreme Parteien in Europa verstehen es prächtig, auf diesem Klavier zu spielen. Und ich kann nur zum Beispiel ein Beispiel sagen, in Österreich, da kam eine Meldung, Flüchtlinge hätten einen Supermarkt im Land Steiermark überfallen. Das innerhalb von einer Stunde 8000 Vervielfältigungen. Daraufhin hat die Polizei geantwortet, im ganzen Land ist kein einziger Supermarkt überfallen worden, das wurde nur 115 Mal weitergeleitet. So kann extrem manipuliert werden und was wir brauchen, ist die Kompetenz zu lernen in der Schule, mit Social Web und Internet umzugehen. Das können die Eltern vielfach nicht, weil sie selber nicht die Kenntnisse haben. Und wir müssen gerade Kinder und Jugendliche vor Mobbing zum Beispiel schützen. Wir müssen ihnen sagen, welche Fotos und was hochzuladen nicht ratsam ist, weil das Internet vergisst nichts. Und die Provider, hier brauchen wir ein rechtliches System, dass Meldungen, die falsch sind, dass Meldungen, die Hass verbreiten, auch gelöscht werden müssen. Da brauchen wir eine europäische, wenn nicht gar eine internationale Rechtslage. Es muss auch klar sein, diese vielen Influencer und Influencerinnen, die ja alle im Hintergrund Werbeverträge haben und Jugendliche überhaupt nicht realisieren, dass sie hier Opfer von Werbemanipulation sind. Das ist auch ein ganz wichtiger Punkt. Und der letzte, nicht zuletzt, dass, wenn man so frei und freundlich auf TikTok geht, dass das etwas mit Absaugen von Daten zu tun hat, dass hier ein anderer Staat, China, den Zugriff hat. Und hier bedarf es einer nicht nur europäischen, einer internationalen Lösung, was den Datenschutz und TikTok betrifft. Dankeschön.
Danke sehr, Stefan. Now I call in the debate Madam Yulia Ovchinnikova from Ukraine. Yulia, you have the floor.
Yeah, thank you. Dear Mr. President, dear colleagues, first of all, thank you very much, Evgenia and Fiona, for this excellent work. Today, debate is very important for us as parliamentarians from different perspectives. First, young people are our future, and they will decide what Europe, our countries, will look like, what values will be cherished, and how society will develop. But it's our duty to prepare them, to train them properly, to ensure their rights guaranteed and fulfilled. Their minds are clear and open to pursue the journey of humanity in strong democratic paths with values of equality, diversity, freedom, mutual respect, solidarity, and rule of law. Media literacy and digital hygiene will definitely safeguard our democracies, our values we stand for, the human rights of speech and expression. And I strongly support the call of Parliamentary Assembly on operators to ensure the protection of young people data and privacy and to regulate illegal content. There must be boundaries. The internet is global and means the responsibility what content is being shared and offered to an easy access should be a global common responsibility, which means strengthening our cyber security bodies in our countries, their close collaboration, strengthening of the recognition of the digital and data integrity violation. And this means also putting more efforts to protection of the personal data of young people in digital environmental, which are the serious risk of hiding, manipulating, and fair exploitation. This is about the human right to be safe within physical and digital environment. So we in Ukraine know very well how it's easy to brainwash young people digitally, especially using social media bot farms, paid bloggers, and influencers to change their opinion, not on buying or not buying certain things, but on very serious issue, national security and territorial integrity. Young people, especially without proper education or training, can be easily decided to use in any ways, also Russian propaganda of the war. So the work on their reintegration and mental recovery from all the Russian media propaganda processing will be on us. It will be serious mental reintegration, and the media can play a positive role there, not stigmatizing, but supporting, educating, explaining, and helping. I'm optimistic and believe that new media can bring and empower young people, can sustain true democracy and fundamental freedoms in real ethical and respect to discussion on its common duty of states and regulation. So thank you very much.
Thank you, dear Yulia. Next in the debate, I call Madam Irena Konstankevich from Ukraine. Irena, you have the floor.
Monsieur le Président, chers collègues, la guerre de la Russie contre l'Ukraine a montré que l'agresseur mène des activités non seulement sur le champ de bataille, mais aussi dans l'espace d'information. L'une des formes de la stratégie de Poutine est de stabiliser les sociétés l'Ukraine à travers les esprits et les âmes des jeunes. La propagande russe pénétrera dans l'espace d'information de l'Ukraine des formes de la réalité, répandant des informations et les discours racistes. La propagande russe agit d'une manière puissante dans les pays du monde occidental. En février 2023, la subculture de la jeunesse russe Redan s'est rapidement propagée en Ukraine par le biais des réseaux sociaux. Les membres ont organisé des bagarres de masse dans les lieux publics. Leur provocation parmi les jeunes établie par la police et cyberpolice est une tentative des propagandistes russes de mener une autre opération d'information et psychologique de saisir l'occasion de profiter les jeunes pour déstabiliser l'Ukraine. La jeunesse est un groupe à risque qui est le plus souvent influencé par la propagande russe dans les médias. Nous voyons tout le danger au niveau d'État. Nous essayons de la contrer. Les institutions appropriées ont été créées. Cependant, il est difficile de résister à la puissante machine de la propagande russe. La Russie dépense un énorme argent et possède une immense opportunité de la propagande dans les médias. La propagande russe dans l'espace d'information est puissante et toxique. L'Ukraine et le monde ont une voie de reprise devant eux. Il est donc important de s'unir et de créer conjointement les conditions de sécurité pour les jeunes dans l'espace d'information, de leur enseigner des compétences de consommation des médias et de les soutenir dans la création de nouveaux projets médiatiques. Tout cela fait partie intégrante de la formation d'un environnement informatique sécurisé et en même temps de la sécurité des démocraties occidentales et de l'état de droit. La PCO a fait preuve de l'unité sur les nombreuses questions concernant l'isolement de la Russie pour son agression. Protéger les jeunes dans l'espace médiatique devrait être la prochaine étape. Merci beaucoup.
Merci à vous, chère Irena. Next in the debate, I call Madam Tarja Filatov from Finland. But I do not see her in the hemicycle. So then we will, le prochain orateur sera Monsieur Simon Moutquin de la Belgique. Simon, la parole est à vous.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Je tiens à remercier chaleureusement la rapporteure et la personne qui a rapporté le rapport aujourd'hui. Je crois que la question de l'accès à une information fiable sur les réseaux sociaux, c'est devenu crucial aujourd'hui. Et aujourd'hui, bien sûr, plus de mesures sont nécessaires pour que les jeunes puissent consommer du contenu de qualité et en fait repérer des fausses informations. Mais je voudrais quand même nous rappeler qu'il n'a pas fallu attendre les réseaux sociaux pour que des fake news se propagent, ni que pour les jeunes se fassent harceler, ou encore pour voir le développement d'addictions dans notre jeunesse. Non, en fait, les réseaux sociaux ne sont finalement qu'un amplificateur des réalités de notre société. Ils exacerbent le pire comme le meilleur. Alors vous avez raison de souligner le potentiel créatif des jeunes qu'il faut aujourd'hui remercier aussi. Il faut les remercier, ces jeunes influenceurs qui, avec leur connaissance et leur créativité, diffusent aussi des informations, parfois de l'esprit critique, et permettent à des jeunes de rester connectés à des réalités. Bien entendu que les TikTokers, les YouTubeurs ou les influenceurs peuvent être des sources de désinformation, mais à nouveau, ils ne sont que le simple reflet de notre société. Rien n'est noir ou blanc, nous avons plutôt intérêt à encourager, accompagner, plutôt que de stigmatiser et généraliser. Alors que finalement les populistes s'imposent partout sur le continent, dans des gouvernements parfois, eux aussi propagent des fausses informations et refusent les nombreuses nuances de notre société. Alors je me pose la question, est-ce que certains responsables politiques ne sont parfois pas plus dangereux que des influenceurs ? De la même manière, il est bien sûr important de questionner les relations entre réseaux sociaux, informations et entreprises privées, mais à nouveau, regardons notre société. Est-ce que certaines chaînes TV, groupes médiatiques n'appartiennent pas à des milliardaires qui influencent aussi finalement la qualité de l'information ? Par ailleurs, en tant que rapporteur sur la santé mentale des jeunes, je reconnais que les médias sociaux peuvent avoir un impact négatif sur les illusions qu'ils procurent, sur une fausse sensation de bien-être, mais ils peuvent aussi parfois sortir de l'isolement des jeunes, favoriser des rencontres ou permettre des expressions. Et à ce titre, finalement, derrière ce débat entre jeunes et médias, je pense que nous aussi, responsables politiques, avons un gros travail à faire de reconnexion avec la jeunesse pour qu'elle se sente plus écoutée et moins marginalisée. Les réseaux sociaux créent certes des illusions, mais c'est aussi parce que la réalité des jeunes aujourd'hui n'est pas toujours heureuse. La crise climatique, l'anxiété, les confinements, le fait d'accepter d'être qui on est. Et finalement, c'est aussi ça qui doit être porté à notre attention, c'est le fait qu'une jeunesse entière en Europe ne se sent plus connectée avec le monde politique parce qu'elle vit aussi dans des peurs qui sont légitimes et qu'elles expriment sur des réseaux sociaux. Et je nous encourage vraiment à travailler aussi finalement sur cette question de lien entre la jeunesse et le futur qu'on lui promet, qui malheureusement n'est pas toujours rose. Je vous remercie.
Merci à vous, cher Simon. Now I call in the debate Madam Olena Moshnets from Ukraine. Olena, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I thank the rapporteur for raising such an important topic at today's meeting. Uman. Russian missile hit a residential building, 10 people died. Dnipro. Russia killed a 2-year-old child and a woman. Ukrainka, a 13-year-old girl was injured. These are the first headlines I saw this morning. Not enough. The building should be destroyed till the fundament. Ukrainians should suffer. These are the comments from ordinary Russian social media users. Russian Ministry of Defense, after killing Ukrainian civilians in Uman, has published a post with the caption, "Right on target," meaning by their target our children and people. This is a well-known saying: when argument ends, the guns begin, as it illustrates how the Russian military and political machine kills Ukrainians and distorts reality with the help of powerful manipulation, fake news, disinformation, and propaganda. The youth is extremely vulnerable to digital threats. As the resolution states, young people are exposed to a large amount of information and narratives promoted on social networks. This is used by aggression state to influence the whole generation of Ukrainians. Meanwhile, surveys conducted in Ukraine show a lack of critical thinking skills among young people. This leads to a serious problem. Working on an information space that is free of Russian influence is a priority for Ukrainian side. In particular, the Ministry of Culture and Information Policy of Ukraine has a Center for Strategic Communications that has been developing state communications for 2 years to counter disinformation, refute Russian manipulation, and strengthen the resilience of Ukrainians to external information threats. Information threats know no borders and reach even the most remote corners. To prevent such manipulation, we need to develop media literacy and media ecosystem that will provide high-quality news and improve critical thinking among young people across Europe. Thank you for your attention.
And thank you for your intervention. Now in the debate, I call Mr. Percy Dow from Canada, from our observer state, Canada. Percy, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to thank the rapporteur for her report, which highlights important trends in information sharing. In my remarks, I would like to address social media bias. With the increased adoption of media platforms such as YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok, the consumption of news has shifted from the more legacy media space to digital spaces. A recent report from Statistics Canada survey found that in our country, the most common method for following news and current affairs by Canadians was the internet, with 80% of respondents following the news on the internet. However, younger Canadians, aged 15 to 34, were even more likely to rely on online news, with 95% choosing the internet as their main source of information. With this reliance on online sources, concerns over the effect of new media bias are intensified. It is difficult to eliminate bias completely, but back in the days of newspapers with large circulations, we were at least forced to see articles beyond our preferred topic or opinions. When I opened my newspaper every morning, I read editorials that may sometimes not reflect my personal views, but it gave me an understanding about other positions, and it gave me a more objective and comprehensive understanding of the various issues of the day. The same experience was with TV news, which was at a set time. A recent study investigated how different social media affects what they call filter bubbles formations, where users become intellectually isolated due to overexposure to ideas that align with their pre-existing beliefs. Among its conclusions, it found that users with more extreme views were shown less diverse content and had higher click-through rates than users with less extreme views. This means that social media were creating filter bubbles in an effort to improve users' experience, potentially leading to the amplification of a single narrative and the reinforcement of one's own bias. Of course, we all know that social media may also cause the spread of disinformation and low-quality content, which is why regulation is essential. In Canada, we are currently considering 2 bills related to regulating social media platforms. We are trying to find the right balance of protecting free speech and preventing the harm that platforms may cause, which is why we are paying close attention to recommendations and examples shared in this forum. Thank you for your report and for this discussion today.
And thank you, dear Percy, for your contribution. And may I use the opportunity to thank the whole Canadian delegation who has been here with us during the week with a large quantity and, if I am allowed to say, with also a large quality. We are most happy to have you here. And now we are going to listen to another observer state representatives, Mr. Hector Vasconcelos from Mexico. Hector, you have the floor.
Yes. Monsieur le Président, en esta sesión solo esbozaré un efecto negativo de los medios digitales sobre los jóvenes. De manera paradójica, el mayor progreso tecnológico que ha presenciado la humanidad ha traído consigo una forma inédita de relacionarse con los medios de información, particularmente para las nuevas generaciones. Atestiguamos el abandono del consumo de medios impresos tradicionales como libros, revistas y periódicos para dar paso a un consumo cada vez más abrumador de lo que ofrecen los medios digitales en diversos aparatos electrónicos, celulares, computadoras, televisores. Las consecuencias que esta nueva forma de consumir información tienen sobre las generaciones más jóvenes son nocivas y, a mi juicio, aún no han sido suficientemente ponderadas. Mencionaré solo algunas de ellas. La libertad individual de elegir, elemento central de la civilización occidental posterior a la Ilustración, empieza a ser abandonado para confiarle a un algoritmo digital la información que se nos presenta, así como el orden de importancia que tienen las noticias. Los insumos para el pensamiento crítico se ven afectados por un sistema que iguala temas prioritarios con asuntos banales o investigaciones serias con fake news. A esto se suma el exceso de contenidos al que están expuestos los jóvenes. De acuerdo con estudios recientes, alrededor de 5 segundos es lo que dura la atención media que los usuarios dedican de manera sostenida a un mensaje, una fotografía o un video. ¿Qué podemos esperar de una generación incapaz de sostener su atención en un asunto por más de algunos segundos o minutos? ¿Qué destino deparará a la humanidad el que sus jóvenes no sean capaces de leer completos la Divina Comedia o el Rey Lear, o bien no puedan centrar su atención en la Novena Sinfonía de Beethoven o la Segunda de Mahler, o escuchar por más de 4 horas Tristán e Isolda? Esto implicaría dejar a la sociedad del futuro fuera de las experiencias más intensas y significativas del ser humano. El destino mismo de la civilización entra en la deriva cuando sus nuevas generaciones son incapaces de conocer sus expresiones más elevadas o cuando su apreciación deja de ser materia de criterio propio y se convierte en lo que dicta un aparato. Muchas gracias por su atención.
Muchas gracias, Hector. And may I also use this opportunity to thank the Mexican delegation for being present during this week, also in a large quality and a large quantity. And I had the pleasure to meet with your delegation during the week. Thank you very much for being here with us and contributing. And you spoke about an attention of 5 seconds, but you got a full 180 seconds our attention. So nowadays that means something. Next in the debate, I call Mr. John Howell from the United Kingdom. John, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I have to say that, and I confess this, that I feel very old in participating in this debate. I also feel very strange to this subject because I do not use any social media. I have given up the use of social media because of the aggression and of the hatred that was shown on it to me and to my colleagues. But I admit fully that there is a crucial role that we have to play in designing the rules that apply to social media, particularly for young people. And if there is one sentence in the resolution today that I think is most important, it is this: the Parliamentary Assembly considers it vital to ensure safe social media use for young people. The emphasis on the word safe there is, I think, absolutely crucial. One of the major points that I would like to make is in relation to the news media and to the potential that there is for disinformation and inaccurate reporting. We are all used to newspapers taking a particular political stance, and I would not wish to challenge that, and I would not wish to challenge that in relation to social media either. But in relation to social media, it should be clear where that political stance is coming from. And that is very difficult to know with established media. I used to work for the British Broadcasting Corporation, but I find when I look at its social media that it is very difficult to tell what is a real news piece and what is a piece of misinformation. I think this report also rightly points to the addictive nature of these technologies and asks us to take a view on them. And with that, it also takes a view on radicalization and particularly on the role that pornography can play in all of this. But I do think that one of the most important areas is in relation to consumers. Young people use these channels to buy a lot of goods for themselves and for their families. But what is hidden behind that consumerism is sometimes dangerous and sometimes one of the things that we should take action against. So in conclusion, I think that this paper addresses a lot of good information on this, and I fully support it.
Thank you, John. Now we are going to listen to Madam Anna Christina Gunnarsdottir, daughter of Christina, daughter of Gunnar. You have the floor.
Merci, Monsieur Président. Thank you to the rapporteurs for this interesting and important report. I haven't prepared a speech for this topic. Apologies to our amazing interpreters here. I would just like to emphasize one thing in this discussion, which is our responsibility and opportunities to educate our children. It is, of course, very important to make sure that our children are safe on the internet, but they also need to be educated, not only about the dangers and challenges of technology and the internet, but also about the things that they are curious about and they seek information on from other people than their parents or their teachers if this is not guaranteed. A research that was done in Iceland showed that children and young teenagers get their sexual education from pornography. Unfortunately, this is their first contact very often. I think it was the vast majority of children that got their first information and sexual education from pornography. Of course, we need to find ways to protect our children from things that they are not ready to understand, but we also need to be aware of our responsibility in educating our children early enough about the things that they are naturally curious about. This is the point that I would like to emphasize here, as there is of course, no solution in trying to limit access to information that people, including children, are determined to find and to reach. So we need to take this role extremely seriously. And this is the only point I want to make in this discussion. And thank you again to the rapporteurs.
And thank you for this most relevant addition to the debate. Next on my list is Madam Lisa Marie Næss Klungland from Norway. I do not see her on her seat. She's sitting somewhere else. As that is not the case, we come to the last speaker in the debate, and that's again the speaker of our observer state, Mexico. I give the floor to Mr. Héctor Jaime Ramirez Barba.
Señor presidente, muy buenos días. Celebramos la resolución presentada por el Comité de la Comisión de Cultura, Ciencia, Educación y Medios, encabezado por la señora Fiona O'Loughlin, sobre el tema Juventud y los medios. El entorno digital es una herramienta que ha tenido un impacto positivo en la humanidad, pero también ha generado consecuencias preocupantes para los jóvenes. Es necesario que las autoridades públicas garanticemos la protección de datos y la regulación de contenidos ilegales, como el material pornográfico, así como la calidad de la información a la que están expuestos. La contingencia sanitaria provocada por la pandemia de COVID-19 ha obligado a las nuevas generaciones a adaptarse al entorno digital en su vida social, académica, familiar y recreativa. El uso de la tecnología se ha vuelto indispensable para mantenernos conectados e informados, pero también nos ha hecho susceptibles a información poco veraz. La conectividad constante y la capacidad de respuesta inmediata generan una sobreestimulación del cerebro, provocando una adicción a las tecnologías. Además, la sobrecarga de información por parte de los influencers que difunden información errónea, publicidad tóxica y contenido dañino, incluso ilegal, crea un ambiente vulnerable para que los jóvenes puedan restringir su uso cotidiano y discriminar correctamente la información con la que son bombardeados. Apoyamos a la Asamblea en la garantía del uso seguro de las redes sociales para los jóvenes y en el fomento del uso correcto en la vida social, económica y política, ya que es indispensable para su salud mental y física. También es necesario que se sientan representados políticamente y que todas las fuentes de información en las plataformas digitales brinden contenido de calidad y tengan un control adecuado de edades. Los jóvenes son los principales motores de difusión y producción de información denominados creadores de contenido, lo que puede hacer de esto un trabajo aspiracional que no requiere estudios especializados. Según el informe de influenciadores realizado por el Morning Consult, el 54% de los jóvenes de 13 a 38 años quieren convertirse en personas influyentes en medios digitales. En México, según los datos del INEGI del 2020, el 14.5% de los jóvenes de 12 a 17 años son usuarios de Internet y el 89% de ellos hace uso diario de estas tecnologías de la información y la comunicación. Es necesario un enfoque regulatorio sostenible por parte de los países para garantizar el uso seguro de las redes sociales y la autodeterminación digital de los menores, protegiéndonos simultáneamente de contenidos y comportamientos nocivos. Esto es un derecho humano que protegerá el correcto desarrollo social, humano y político de este sector de la población, no solo en Europa, sino en todo el mundo. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias, dear Héctor, for your contribution to the debate, and that ends the list of speakers. I'm happy that we could accommodate everybody. And now call Madam Kravchuk to reply to the debate in your position as rapporteur. You now have 3 minutes, Evgenia.
Yes, thank you, dear colleagues. I'll try to be even shorter. Thank you for participating in these debates. It's always good to see so many people on Friday on the last debate on the session, and it just proves again that the topic that was chosen and the report that was written is very relevant. And it's even more relevant for us, for you to work and to speak on this topic, because we're having youngsters on the balcony of this building listening for a part of this conversation. And we actually, what we do is for you, for your safety, for you to feel confident in life, and That's about this institution. It does do practical things. And we're doing practical things for you, and we'll come back to our national parliaments and maybe, you know, work on the national level to ensure safe space for young people in social media and in the countries where they live. I totally agree with many things that were said, especially about media literacy. Myself, I'm leading the project in Ukraine about media literacy, and for young people, it's extremely important because my daughter is still, not teenager. It's pretty small, but you never know what is the time when they stop to watch cartoons and go to, other things what we're talking about today. So thank you again for these contributions. I will pass them to Fiona because she did a great job on this report, and I want to ensure you that our committee will be working on this topic more, and we already have another motion for resolution tabled about youth and democracy, so we will continue. Thank you.
Thank you, Evgenia. Now, formally, I should ask, does the president of the committee wants to speak? You have 3 minutes, but so we win 3 minutes. Thank you very much, and also for your promise that you will pass the compliments to Fiona O'Loughlin. That means that the debate now is closed. The Committee on Culture, Science, Education and Media has presented a draft resolution which you find in document 15726, to which 3 amendments and 1 sub-amendment have been tabled. I remind you that speeches on amendments are limited to 30 seconds. I understand that the chairperson of the Committee on Culture, Science, Education and Media wishes to propose to the Assembly that amendments 2 and 3 to the draft resolution, which were unanimously approved by the committee, should be declared as agreed by the Assembly. Is that so, Madam Kravchuk?
That's correct.
Thank you so much. Does anybody object? As that is not the case, I declare amendments 2 and 3 to the draft resolution have been agreed. I now would like to call Madam Fatalieva to support amendment number 1, but as Madam Fatalieva is not with us, it will be Mr. Schenach to propose amendment number 1. Stefan, you have 30 seconds.
We have an amendment from the Social Committee and a sub-amendment from the Cultural Committee. The original amendment of the Social Committee means provided that they receive specific training, we mean the young people, and are given them time to analyze the situation. Mr. President, should I also now speak about the sub-amendment from the Cultural Committee? No, okay, then because I had also moved this, so I stay.
That's a wise decision, but I call on Madam Kravchuk to support the sub-amendment. Evgenia?
Oh, okay.
Maybe you have to turn off yours. Yeah. It's slow a bit. The technique much slower than us. So the sub-amendment basically is very short, and we just want to replace the word provided with the following words, while ensuring. We believe it would be more accurate. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Evgenia. Does anybody wish to speak against the sub-amendment? What is Mr. Schenach's opinion on the sub-amendment?
We agree into this sub-amendment.
Thank you very much. The committee is obviously in favor. I shall now put the sub-amendment to the vote. The vote is open. The vote is closed. I call for the results to be displayed. And the sub-amendment is adopted unanimously. We now come to the main amendment, number 1 as amended. Does anybody wish to speak against the amendment as amended? I do not see. The opinion of the committee is in favor. I shall now put the amendment as amended to the vote. The vote is open. Vote is closed. I call for the results to be displayed. And the amendment as amended is adopted unanimously. We now will proceed to vote on the draft resolution contained in document 15726 as amended. Simple majority is required. The vote is open. The vote is closed. May I ask the results to be displayed? The resolution is adopted unanimously. Congratulations. Our next business is to consider the changes proposed in the membership of committees. They are set out in document Commission's 2023-04 Addendum 2 are the proposed changes in the membership of the Assembly's committees agreed to. Do not see any objection, they are agreed to. Next item on this morning's agenda is the continuation of the debate on the progress report of the Bureau and the Standing Committee, which you find in document 15745, Addendum 3. At this meeting this morning, the Bureau has proposed several references to committees. They are set out in document 15745, Addendum 3. These references must be submitted for ratification by the Assembly in accordance with Rule 26.3. Are there any objections to these references? I do not see any. As there are no objections, they are approved. I now propose that the other decisions in the progress report, document 15745, Addendum 3, be ratified. Are there any objections? I do not see any. The progress report is approved. We now, dear colleagues, have come to the end of our business. I would like to thank the members of the Assembly, and particularly the rapporteurs of the committees for their hard work during the part session, and I want to thank you all for the dignified way we have held our debates during the whole week and the important decisions that we have taken together. And I have noticed that many of them have been taken unanimously, or like this resolution, or with a large majority, which shows that, in my opinion, we do act as an agora of one of the major agoras of Europe. I would especially like to thank the Vice Presidents who chaired during this part session, Madam Edith Estrella, Mr. John Howell, Madam Via Kovac, Mr. Armin Laschet, Mr. Marco Nicolini, Madam Inga Skau, Madam Maja Vukcevic, and Mr. Ahmed Yildiz. I would also like to thank the staff and the interpreters, both permanent and temporary, who have worked so hard to make our part session a success. The third part session will be held from 19 to 23 of June 2023. Our Standing Committee will meet in Reykjavik. The road to Reykjavik is now coming to an end, and there will be a road after Reykjavik. So I hope to see you all back in June in this hemicycle. The seating is closed. I would remind members to return their voting cards to the dedicated box at the entrance of the chamber. I do not know where it is, but there is a dedicated box and it's waiting for your voting cards.